Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the spiritual home of Brazilian motorsport. Welcome to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace, Autodromo Carlos Pacha. I may have made a mistake of that. Better known to the world as Interlagos. That's when you need to restart. Last time out at Donington Park, we saw a display of absolute dominance from our championship leader, but the technical hairpins of England are now a distant memory. Tonight, we dive into round 7 of the Radical Cup Canada Winter Series. We have arrived at the penultimate hurdle and the tension is at breaking point because this is the final round for drops. Any disaster tonight can still be scrubbed from the record, but once we head to the season finale at Motorsport, there is no more safety net. Interlagos is a place of legends. It is the home of Ayrton Senna and the site of his legendary 1991 victory where he fought through gearbox failure to win on home soil. It is rhythmic, high-speed temple of speed where the Senna S decides championships. In Pro, Racine Vazui has extended his lead and has 147 points, but Clay Morris remains within striking distance at 130. In AM, the battle is electric. Sebastian Day holds the narrowest of leads at 139 points, with Jacob Batar breathing down his neck just 4 points behind. 2 classes, 1 round left after tonight. A real-world radical test drive is waiting for the champions. This is the home stretch. This is round 7. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning, good afternoon, or indeed good evening, and welcome to Pit Road Productions. My name is Daniel Zippy Salmon, and joining me in the production booth once again, as always, pretty much, ladies and gentlemen, it's the one and only Mr. Reese Gardner, affectionately known as the Southpaw Racer. At the production controls, he's back, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Christian Hill.
Zippy, I'm going to be holding that flub over your head for quite some time. You really did well on that one. But I'm really happy to be here. Really happy to be here once again for Interlagos. It's an incredible circuit. So much history at this place. It opened in 1940 and it has been running consistently ever since. I was so hyped when it was added to iRacing all these years ago. And I'm really happy to see that the Radical Cup Canada has managed to make it a round of this season. Let's take a look at the track while we have a moment here. It's historic, it's rhythmic, it's intense. The lap begins with the Senna S, a plunging left-right sequence that invites heroics but punishes greed. That's Donington Park, not Interlagos. From there, it's the power run down to turn 4. It's a prime place to make a move, but watch for that tricky entry and be sure not to run wide. Then we enter the technical heart, the infield, a twisting maze from Ferradura to Pinheirinho, where rhythm is king and tires go to die. You don't just drive that section, you manage it. Crucially, if you can't hook it up through the exit of Junção, you're a sitting duck on the climb. Finally, the throttle is pinned for Subida dos Boxes, a long curving uphill drag where the race is often decided by the slipstream before the line. Interlagos demanding precision but rewarding aggression. A quick look at the track from the air. Senna S, of course, at turn 1, 2, and then out through turn 3. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of overtaking there at turn 1 and also at turn 4 at Descida do Lago. But those switchback hairpins in the middle of the lap, Zippy, they will provide some of the best technical action you'll see.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen some absolutely fantastic starts here on Pit Road Productions at Interlagos as well. I'm definitely looking forward to it. But indeed, it's just one of many scheduled tracks we've got here today in the BIS Radical Cup Canada Winter Series as well with FEL Motorsport. Certainly, let's take a look at that schedule. Actually, I'd definitely like to see that as well. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We started off at Silverstone before heading to Mexico City for round 2. Montreal for round 3, Monza for round 4. That was a fun race. But indeed, one of my personal favourites. We went to Watkins Glen for round 5 before heading to a personal favourite of mine, Donington Park for round 6. Interlagos takes us here for round 7 before we head to the final round at Motorsport, the home track of BIS. Certainly looking forward to being there myself in May. But certainly, you can see here, there is a little bit of a pattern I can see emerging for Zui. 1, 2, hang on a second, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely astonishing control over it. But is it going to be enough today here at Interlagos?
That is the question. He's got some really good pace over the rest of the field in qualifying at the moment, and I think we're going to be seeing a few surprises on the grid when it eventually comes. But before that, we should check out the event format. same as for every round. 2 races and 1 relentless evening. Qualifying is going to set the grid for race 1, the sprint, which is going to take around about 15 minutes, 10 laps around Interlagos scheduled for this. Then a 5-minute warm-up before we get the feature race of about 30 minutes in length. The top 10 from race 1 will be inverted for the start of race 2. 21 laps, and it will require a pit stop. It's a fixed setup as well. The drivers are able to change brake bias at the very least, but they will still all be driving effectively the same settings. And while we have a moment, we should keep an eye on the championship as well. Drops are in play tonight. Your worst sprint and worst feature results are removed from the standings. It's your last chance to save a bad race. And once we move to the finale at Motorsport, every single point is locked in, so every point's a diamond. Don't throw them away. We see Racine Fazui there on top by 17 points in the pro standings. And then in the AM standings, as mentioned, only a 4-point gap between Sebastian Day and Jacob Batta. They are very close in qualifying as well, so it's going to be a head-to-head battle between them. Jesse Lambert not too far behind, only 10 points back. And finally, the team's standings. It'll be very interesting to see how things work out for all of that. Lima Racing Pro is currently second, 41 points behind Satellite Racing, which has gotten the most consistent team finishes over the course of the season. Satellite has just about wrapped it up, but still, we have 4 races left in the championship, 2 rounds to go, Zippy. Let's think about how this grid's going to line up.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a battle. And certainly Alex Ellis and indeed Christian Muniz there rocking the Satellite Racing team. And it's fair to say, not surprising that they're doing so well. But here you go. You can see, ladies and gentlemen, your points leader is indeed Racine Fazui, and he's on the front of the grid yet again with Alex Ellis alongside in second. Moving back to row 2 in third place, we've got Ryan Otto. A good turn of pace from him today, with Clay Morris making a frequent appearance in the top 5. He's there in 4th. Asad Nikanov, one of the younger racers indeed, very potent indeed. He's there in 5th with Diego Zuccarelli alongside in 6th. Having a look at 7th, we got Christian Muniz. He's there in 7th alongside Cara Dodgen, one of the few female drivers in the grid, but incredible pace nonetheless. She's there in P8. And then rounding out your top 10, ladies and gentlemen, Jared Dunkovic, again a good result for him. He's there in 9th with the AM-class driver of Jesse Lambert in 10th.
Richard Hibbs going to be starting P11 alongside Jacob Batta, who's battling with Sebastian Day for the AM Championship. Maxime Armand and Declan Dionarin are going to be separating them, as well as Brady Clapham, who starts 15th. There's Sebastian Day rounding out your top 16. Series admin Michael Broomhead's got John Benverlin for company on the 9th row of the grid. The top 20 rounded out by Tyler Scarelli and Jean-Francois Larocque.
Having a look at P21, we're going to see Cedric O'Hyan, leader of Lima Racing, alongside Matthew Crimmy in 22nd. Having a look back at 23rd, we're going to see the one and only Mr. Stephen Sutherland for Auto Eclectic Motorsports alongside Keenan Blades in 24th. Moving back to 25th now, Mark Boyd, leader of Auto Eclectic Motorsports. They call him Bubba. He's there in 25th with Chad Payne alongside in 26th. And look at 27th, the bearded man himself. It was Robert Kobe alongside Jonathan Kazan for Lima Racing as well in 28th. And rounding out the back end of the top 30, ladies and gentlemen, is Abri Shirasawa. He's there in 29th alongside Ovidio Milas in 30th.
And just a few more cars to go. Rick Boyd, Paul Casamager, 31st and 32nd, and then Matthew Melman will take the last spot on the grid. Wyatt Cormier was present in practice, but didn't set a time in qualifying and is not taken to the start of race 1. It's time then, Zippy. They've already formed up out of Junsao, and coming through Subida dos Boxes now, the final real corner on the lap. This is going to be a fun time indeed. Got 10 laps of this fantastic track ahead of us. Plenty of slipstreaming opportunity too.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a warmer track as well. 37 degrees, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to get some heat into these tyres pretty quickly, ladies and gentlemen. You have to wonder just how these drivers are indeed going to be able to handle that, but I have a feeling we're going to see some great passing opportunities going into turn 1, even on the first lap. Certainly, Racine Fazui is going to have to put in a defensive move of a century, ladies and gentlemen, as indeed the race is already underway. Fazui there covers the inside, and indeed you can see there not a lot that Alex Ellis to do. He's already pushed back in the 4th as he goes side by side there with Nakano free wide through turn 1. Oh, carnage in the back.
Oh, yep, slow start from Alex Ellis, and it looks like Ryan Otto and Asad Nakano have both made their way past him, but indeed a little bit of chaos at the back. See a couple of cars trailing off as they come down to turn 4 for the first time. Nikardenbev weaving and moving there on Ellis. He wanted to go for the move on Otto and try to take second. It's a very close race up the front if you're not Racine Fazui, who seems to be skipping away already. Oh, surely not 3 wide.
Oh, that was brave. Indeed, that's Ryan Otto, ladies and gentlemen. He's definitely not afraid to fight. It's Asad Nikardenbev going to make a move on the inside. I've got to say, you're surprised to see the satellite racing cars moving back now. 4th and 5th, but together they are there as a team. Can Christian Muniz and indeed Alex Ellis find their way to the front of the podium? Nikardenbev, very quick out of the box indeed. Currently the hard charger. I'm seeing somebody who's up 3 positions, ladies and gentlemen. That's Matthew Crowe. Further back though, Ovidio Milos currently up 6 positions. He's currently the hard charger with Matthew Mayo and Keenan Blades both having a meatball flag.
Yeah, it looks like Mailman and Blades were the ones involved in the turn 1 incident. We'll have to see exactly what went on there. But what a start it has been for Ryan Otto. He's actually been quite a long way up the standings for this round. It seems Interlagos is a track he's a fan of. He's going to have to do some hard racing, though, because Asad Nikardenbev is going for every move he can. And there's contact in turn 1. And Otto, Nikardenbev and Ellis are all around.
That's like Cara Dutchens just ended up getting caught in an incident as well. Absolute chaos as Otto rejoins the track and then pretty much just exits stage right, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely a little bit of overheated tyres there. As we see, that looks like a specially done livery for this round, actually, just ahead of Ryan Otto. Who's that now? I believe that may be Declan the Honouring as well. It's fair to say he may be a Senna fan, looking at the colour scheme that has indeed been rocked. I could be mistaken, ladies and gentlemen, but certainly, Reese, I'm going to be looking at you for this one.
I got nothing, but it's very similar to the Brazilian flag, so I suppose it will be Senna or Brazil inspired. It's looking pretty fantastic at the moment, but now we see the face of the race changing ever so slightly. Muniz and Zuccarelli have now moved onto the podium. Nikardenbev has gotten out of that turn 1 incident the best. He will remain in 4th, but massive losses for Alex Ellis and for Ryan Otto too.
Yeah, definitely a little bit too keen out of the box there, potentially. If anything, I was expected to happen on lap 1, not lap 2. Certainly the tyres are not yet up to temperature. As you see, side by side, it's Jared Dunkovic on the inside, Clay Morris on the outside, and indeed, right behind him, it's Jesse Lambert, ladies and gentlemen. He's there in the AM class, and he's got Jacob Patel right behind him. And here we are, indeed. Let's see 3 wide. That's a little bit of contact there. Dunkovic backs out of it. He's not happy about it, and look at this go. That is another driver trying to make a move up there, trying to look out exactly who it is. I have a feeling it may be Rich Hibbs.
It's Jacob Batter. Yeah, Batter moving his way up into 6th. He's actually had a really good time of things here at the moment. I mean, we compare it to his championship rival. Yeah, it looks like there's quite a bit of difference between them at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see how that AM-class battle works out. Easy does it there through turn 4. It's downhill and it narrows up on the exit, and so you've got to be careful not to go too far beyond the track limits. Batter having an excellent time here behind Jesse Lambert, our top 2 in AM as things stand. But that's going to induce some trouble there for Clay Morris as Alex Ellis tries moving up the inside. Goodness me, the racing is a lot closer and a lot more brutal than I expected here.
Oh, I'm definitely not surprised in the slightest. Certainly these guys will indeed battle out. See a little bit of correction there from the back of the 111 car of Jacob Patel. But indeed, right now we've got some new hard charges in the field, ladies and gentlemen. And indeed, I'm privileged to say, Tyler Scaralli currently up 8 positions there. He's in the P11 overall. Robert Kobe as well, the bearded gentleman. He's also up 8 positions. This is good news for that man indeed.
Very good news. It's bad news, meanwhile, for Sebastian Day, who, remember, is contending for the AM Championship. He's towed back to the pits after getting involved in some crash or another. It might have been the one that we caught on cams. So, AM Class Championship has problems, and so does Ellis, apparently. That's way too deep on the brakes for turn 1, and he's going to likely fall outside the top 10 as a result of this.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a slow burn today for Alex Ellis. Certainly he is a real-world GT4 driver and definitely having a little bit of a harder time here at Interlagos, but thankfully he is still there in the pack, and he's got Tyler Scaralli right ahead of him. As I say, ahead of him, Ellis already trying to make a move there on the inside, and indeed it looks like the 77 of Brady Clapham looking to try and basically follow Ellis through as well. Scaralli pretty much mugged at this point.
Yeah, this is certainly difficult to deal with. if you're a driver who's a bit down on pace and you can't quite carry as much speed through these corners, it can feel like you're getting swamped. Interlagos has a nicely spread out first half, but this second half, full of these hairpins and switchbacks and sweepers, it comes thick and fast, and you really need to drive the whole section as one unit. You can't focus on individual corners.
Well, certainly myself, I've always struggled at this particular venue. Never been able to work out where to find the pace. Certainly, if you do want to go faster, I'm 100% going to give them a plug. Check out the Almeida Academy, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, you've got course content. You do indeed have as well. You've got workshops going around through the week. And not only that, other opportunities available to you as well. $25 a month, as far as I know. It is still on sale right now. It's a winter promotion they got going on. But right now, Tyler Scarelli definitely proving that he's got pace as he's trying to make a move here to try and find himself ahead of Brady Clapham, another real-world racing driver.
Indeed, and worth pointing out, Suelio Almeida also competed in this series at one time or another, Radical Cup Canada esports series here that BIS holds. A fantastic rise up for this series as we see Tyler Scarelli now move past Brady Clapham into turn 4. Of course, FEL Motorsports, the real-world organisers of the Radical Canada Cup, coming on board to support this series, and it's been brilliant to have them on board with all that implies. And it's been great racing this season. There's been some quite hectic rounds, and I think this is going to be a contender for another one of them. We've got a load of drivers out of position, drivers that we could have expected great results from today that probably won't get one in race 1.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a shake-up there indeed. It looks like we've got quite a big pack starting at Jesse Lambert, who's currently there in P5. Right now, he's got Clay Morris between himself and Jacob Attar, and he's definitely going to want to keep Clay Morris in there, certainly try and get the points while he can. But indeed, this is the start, guys. It's starting to bring around the final corner and make it onto the start-finish straight. Certainly an absolutely fantastic opportunity for a bit of draft. Are we going to see some more passes here heading to turn 1?
The draft is strong in this Radical SR10. And we've seen that demonstrated a few times. The overspeed that you get into the first corner can catch a couple of drivers out. Just ask Asad Nakad and Bevan Alex Ellis. But for the moment, this does look like one of the closest fights on track. There's been a bit of spread in the field at the moment. Potentially, drivers having trouble following each other through those slower sections. Lambert doing very well at the moment. He does have second place in the championship, Clay Morris, chasing him down with Jacob Batta not too far behind, and Batta's going to get a big points gain in the AM standings with the unfortunate, it seems, retirement for Sebastian Day here in race 1. But we can't forget, this is the final round you can count as a drop, so maybe that'll save Day's bacon.
Well, certainly somebody I do want to bring attention to, again, is the number 72 of Robert Covey. I'm keeping an eye on his standings right now, and he's actually up to 16th place. He is up 11 positions on the day, ladies and gentlemen. That's absolutely incredible. It's a 33-car field. He's made his way a third of the way forward from where he started, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, he started in P27. Fair play to him. Not only that, he's also on the driver cams as well, so I'm going to give him a little bit of a shout out indeed. Covey obviously taking quite well to Interlagos.
Yeah, and just behind Covey, I saw a pass being made for Ryan Otto on Chad Payton. Otto on the recovery and has made his way back up to 17th place. There's Covey at the moment, and we'll see what he can do here on board to check out the front run down the straight at Interlagos. You cut across the pit entry, that's going to be a point of contention in race 2. We will have to pit in that second race, and so if you're following close behind someone and they start slowing up for pit entry, you'll have to be aware of it.
Yes, so he's definitely going to catch a few people out indeed. Definitely Covey having a good race as well. I do have to make sure I make a point of meeting that man. He's been in the area a few times and just haven't been able to make the timing work. But indeed, multiple battles happening on track. It looks like two real-world team leaders are actually going up against it right now. In P22, it's Mark Boyd, leader of Auto Eclectic Motorsport, going against the head of the real-world Lima Racing team of Cedric O'Hyan back in P22. Indeed, the 12 and the 36 are duking it out with Vito Milos getting in the battle as well.
Oh, that's an interesting exit there. Let's see what they can do here. Ovidio Milos and Mark Boyd taking it nice and gently. Oh, I've just seen that Matthew Mailman is stopped by the side of the circuit. These drivers are going to be coming up on him in just a few moments. we might just see him off track.
Yep.
He's off, there he is, off in the runoff area. That's interesting there for Matthew Mailman. But this battle is certainly keeping us on our toes here. Milos leading the way. There's a pass being made there in the background. Armand getting by Cedric O'Hyan. And now Ovidio Milos under pressure as they make their way down to Junsao.
Yeah, certainly Mark Boyd is not going to give it up freely, and indeed, loving the headband from Maxime Armand there. And also holds the record, ladies and gentlemen, the only person I've ever known to watch pit road productions on a plane. Fair play to the guy. He will live on in my heart for that. But certainly right now, this is that draft in action. Goes to the inside. Mark Boyd closing the gap. That is incredibly tight. Is he going to make it by the pit wall? I actually flinched just then. That was so incredibly close there. Oh, he was squeezed tighter than the budget for Canada at that point. That's how tight it was.
That's insane there. Great driving from Maxime Armand. Yeah, super tight indeed. And remember, these guys are only battling for 21st place. They're racing like it's for the win. It's fantastic to see. There's another potential move there from O'Hyan in the background, but he doesn't quite get alongside Milos until the exit of turn 4. They're going to keep that side-by-side going, coming up into Ferradura, this uphill double right-hander. Got to be gentle through this section. It's very easy to overcook the front tyres and set yourself up for a bad run through these hairpins, but it looks like both of them having a good time of it. Milos putting his car in exactly the right places to keep O'Hyan from getting by.
Yeah, definitely these guys are having a good battle. Quite a lot of space being left as well. You see there O'Hyan, they're pushing to get a nice tighter line on entrance, and certainly Milos just absolutely parking the car, as you said, exactly in the way, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, that battle is raging on. Mark Boyd able to get ahead and start skipping away here as O'Hyan and Milos are still indeed going at it. Battle's happening throughout though, as indeed it looks like Steve Sutherland now getting into a battle with Robert Cody as well.
Yep, indeed. Lots of goings on here on the racetrack, and looks like Milos and O'Hyan will continue their battle from here. I just want to check in with the lead briefly. Racine Fazui has had an incredible run thus far. He leads by just about 4.5 seconds here. This is characteristic of the Racine Fazui we've known this season, leading the championship and unbothered at the front while everyone's squabbling for the positions behind. The second place battle is a little bit more spaced out. Christian Muniz currently sits 9/10 ahead of Diego Zuccarelli, and it's another 8/10 or so back to Assad Nikadembev. So not much to write home about there unless there's a mistake for someone in that top pack. But I think we're going to be seeing a nice battle start forming for 15th now. Ryan Otto, Robert Covey, Stephen Sutherland, Chad Payton, Cara Dudgeon, John Benvalid, they are all together on track at the moment and waiting for that opportunity. But it is the start of the final lap for Racine Fazui. It's another characteristic dominant drive.
Yeah, certainly a couple of the Lima cars getting in the shot there. I believe Matthew Mailman was admiring the scenery there. As you can see, right behind Christian Muniz, barely in the shot. He's about 5 seconds clear at this point, but indeed, battles raging on throughout the track, ladies and gentlemen. But Racine Fazui, he is pretty much the stubble as this is getting incredibly spicy, ladies and gentlemen. That's Jacob Batar, indeed, getting into it. Clay Morris and Jared Dunkovic. You see the lap car moving out of the way. Rich Hibbs looking to try and get past lap traffic as well. Incredibly close action. We've got to wonder, that's a little bit wide there for Batar. Is Clay Morris here going to get an opportunity to make a pass in the closing stages to this race?
Yeah, Batar defensive. Oh, contact on the way in, and Clay Morris ends up leaving himself open to an attack there from Dunkovic. Batar in the wall heavily. And that's the other AM Championship protagonist that has had big problems here today. Still will get a finish and points over Sebastian Day, who's back out on track in 33rd. My goodness, that is not ideal at all. But out of the final corner, Racine Fazui is coming to the line. An incredible drive once again from our winner. He's won the most races this season, and this is just going to be another notch made for him. Fantastic drive.
Yeah, absolutely incredible skill there, as you can see, just going there and waving to the fans at this point. You can't see it, but certainly business is dealt with, ladies and gentlemen. Diego Zuccarelli there, almost giving Christian Muniz a run for his money, but he's going to come down to the line. It's Dunkovic versus Morris. That'll look a little bit contact. Oh my word, what happened there with Nikadembev as well? thousandths of a second between Morris and Djokovic, but I do want to see exactly what happens in the Cardenberg. That's interesting.
He just slowed down right after the line. I mean, the race was over, so I guess he thought that it would be fine, but apparently they still had drivers coming at full speed down the front stretch. This is why a lot of leagues have a return to pits via going in rule, I think. That's not ideal, but at least he got the finish that he needed. A very close gap between Morris and Dunkovic. It's less than 100th of a second separating them at the end.
Yeah, incredibly close indeed. Between Brimhead and Declan D'Honoran as well, 12 thousandths of a second. Multiple instances here of close racing. Definitely a few instances as well. Certainly Simon Karlovev getting caught in the mess a little bit earlier on, but indeed coming best out of that, and indeed manages to hold on to P4. But we will take a look here at the results as they come in a few short moments.
Yes, or potentially move of the race, because we have to pick that, and it looks like we have gone for Maxime Armand's incredible move, as tight as you dare, coming through the last couple of corners. In a few moments, we will have another look at that, but my goodness, what a first race. I think chaos has reigned here in race one. The drivers will probably be happy to see that there's more distance and time on the cards in race two, a bit more time to make their moves. Here are the results then first. Racine Fazui, 6 seconds in the end over Christian Muniz and Diego Zuccarelli. Asad Nikanabeh finishing in 4th, with Morris and Dunkovic only separated by 8 thousandths of a second in the end. Rich Hibbs will finish in 7th ahead of Jesse Lambert, who wins the AM class. Alex Ellis and Tyler Scaralli rounding out your top 10. Ellis would have been hoping for better out of that one.
Indeed, as we have a look here at P11, it was JF LaRock alongside Michael Broomhead in 12th, with Declan D'Honoran in 13th. Jacob Batter, definitely a little bit unfortunate on that final lap. He took 14th with Ryan Otto getting caught in an earlier incident. He's there in 15th. Robert Kobe, fantastic charge through the field there. He got 16th, with Stephen Sutherland making a good charge as well in 17th. Chad Payton in 18th. John Bembalid for Lima Racing Pro in 19th. And then Cara Dudgeon, unfortunately, getting caught up in that as well. Incredible pace from her today, rounding out your top 20.
Maxime Armand lost positions, but has certainly put himself in the move of the race. Mark Boyd and Ovidiu Milos behind him there to round out 23rd place. Brady Clapham in 24th, ahead of Krimi, O'Hyan, Shrivastava, and Rick Boyd. Last finisher on the lead lap. Jonathan Becazen and Paul Casamajor, both with issues, finishing a lap down. They are joined by Keenan Blades, Matthew Mailman 4 laps down, and Sebastian Day 5 laps down in the end. Both Mailman and Day had to spend time getting damage repaired. Wyatt Cormier once again not taking to the start. But now that we are in the warm-up, it is time to review that move of the race. I'm looking forward to seeing this again from Maxime Armand.
Well, definitely an incredibly close move here. You see there going on the outside of the number 28 car. Indeed, that's Mark Boyd ahead. They call him Bubba, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely able to use that slipstream, but this is where it gets incredibly close. Mark Boyd defending, goes up on the inside, and just a mere inches on either side, ladies and gentlemen. Fair play to him. He managed to get it done. It's definitely a tense moment in the commentary booth there. As you see right behind him, the onslaught of cars in the form of Vida Milos, Mark Boyd, and indeed one of the Lima Racing cars, all trying to get that position. He's just taken a good move there by Maxime.
Yeah, there was barely any room. A lot of bravery and a lot of trust required there for Maxime Armand to get that done, but he managed it, and it was great to see. Well, now we'll turn our attention to thinking about race 2, Zippy. It's going to be the 3rd last race of the championship and the very last result that drivers can drop from their overall points. Not only that, we have a top 10 grid invert and a mandatory pit stop to think about.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting having this longer race indeed. And certainly Interlagos, definitely a challenging track, but a track of great heritage. Certainly yourself, a little bit of an encyclopedia in the nicest of ways, Mr. Rees. Your track expertise is just second to none, ladies and gentlemen. But certainly myself, I'm looking forward to see what happens with the fuel strategy here, because there is opportunities to draft. I mean, it's a nice long straightaway. There is definitely positions you can lift off, but, just how much are you going to be able to really save? I mean, are you going to have the opportunity? Because realistically, if the car ahead of you is pulling away, you're not going to be able to save anything. So, it's a tough way to call it on this one, honestly.
Yeah, it is tough. I mean, 21 laps isn't nothing, but it's still quite a short race. And I think with the pace difference of Racine Fazui to the rest of the field, for example, the drivers behind him aren't going to have a very good time trying to save fuel, shorten their pit stop, extend their stint, whatever they need to do to try and get a leg up on their competitors. The track temperature is 40 degrees Celsius. That is just about 100 Fahrenheit. So I think tires might be an issue as well. Trying to keep the temperature in control is going to be very difficult around here.
Yeah, definitely going to add a little bit of a challenge there, but certainly I think a few of the drivers maybe need to let the tyres get up to full operating temperature before giving it full send, ladies and gentlemen. But certainly we're going to have to look forward to that very, very shortly indeed. I do think that the satellite racing car is definitely going to be somebody to keep an eye on, though, for this race. Certainly not seeing them where we would usually expect to. Definitely a few incidents early on. Alex Ellis as well. Definitely, I'm expecting to see a little bit more from him, and indeed from Christian Muniz as well. But certainly some interesting hard charges for the field. Kobe able to make a wicked charge, as was Steve Sutherland as well.
Yeah, some good gains for Covey and Sutherland over the course of this one. I believe Sutherland finished in 17th in the end. That's a solid gain of positions after starting 23rd in race 1. But just like that, it looks like we are switching on over to race number 2, and it'll be time to go through the grid once again. We only really need to go through the top 10 because it has been inverted. Tyler Scaralli finished 10th in race 1, so he's got pole position. Alex Ellis sees another chance to get on the podium here. He started second for race 1, finished 9th. He'll be starting second again for race 2. Jesse Lambert will be starting in 3rd place with Richard Hibbs alongside. That's an interesting second row there. Jarrett Dunkovic and Clay Morris will be 5th and 6th. Assad Nakadam Bevan 7th with Diego Zuccarelli in 8th, and then Christian Muniz and Racine Fazui rounding out your top 10. These drivers are going to be particularly hungry to get back to the front.
Oh, absolutely. Certainly having Muniz and Fazui alongside each other is definitely going to make for a good battle indeed. Certainly, do we want to have a look at P11? I mean, we can. I'm open for it.
I mean, it's really where they finished in race 1. Jean-Francois Larocque in 11th, but there's only a few seconds remaining on the grid timer, so I suppose it will be time very shortly to start the short formation lap. The drivers getting their dummy grid on the run up to Ferradura here. And this is a corner where we've already seen quite a bit of drama tonight.
Yeah, definitely we're going to see some fantastic battles here as well. I do have to wonder if we're going to see a little bit of Turn 1 carnage. I do remember a particular LMP3 race we had here on Pit Road Productions. We saw it 5 wide, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely diabolically terrifying, but incredible entertainment as well. I do have to wonder if the Radical Cup Canada, presented by indeed FPL Motorsports and indeed in association with BIS, is going to deliver the same kind of action.
That is the question. We'll find out very shortly. Slow start off the dummy grid for Ryan Otto. He is going to have to pick up the pace a little bit to get everyone back in formation there, but they have plenty of time to do it. Lots of fantastic corners around this racetrack, and from these sweeping camera angles, you get a great sense of the elevation change as well. There's a lot of banking to some of these corners too. Interlagos is an old school circuit through and through. This part of the track has not changed in layout since this place opened in 1940.
Again, there with the absolutely incredible, famous expertise, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, myself, I'm looking at the incredible variety we got here. I say incredible variety. It's a majority of Canadian drivers, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, certainly Jarrett Dunkovic making the trip here from the United States, as indeed is Ryan Otto as well. Assad Nakadam representing Uzbekistan, if I remember correctly, and Michael Broomhead obviously going with the Union Jack as well. He is a man of good heritage indeed. He's English, ladies and gentlemen, such as myself. Australia a little bit underrepresented here today, though, Reese.
No, yeah, exactly. In the field, but in the commentary box, there's 50% Australian. I'm pretty happy with that. Although my heritage is a combination of the UK and Finland by way of New Zealand. So that's An interesting fact for you all there, but we got to get ready for this start. They're about to come up to the green flag. Rich Hibbs is going to have the pressure on him starting out of P4, but Scarali gets away nice and early there. The top three already breaking away from the rest of the field into turn one. There's the dive from Alex Ellis to try and get the lead, but Rich Hibbs is in trouble here. He's got everyone behind him, all looking for the same piece of racetrack he's occupying.
Yeah, certainly Hibbs is going to be quick to try and get it into single file as we've got a battle for the lead. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Scarali certainly giving Alex Ellis a challenge. He's less than a 10th behind, and indeed we'll see two, maybe even three wide further back. That looks like Jacob Patar there trying to find a little bit of real start as well. That's Clay Morriso on the inside of Jared Dunkovic, indeed, and right behind, I believe that's Asad Nikarov going at it with Christian Muniz as well. Right behind him, Racine Fazui looking to try and find his way back to the front of the grid.
Yeah, Fazui not making up a ton of positions on lap one, but there's going to be a freebie there potentially with Scarali running wide at Ferradura. That'll leave Alex Ellis in the lead by 7/10, and well, the satellite racing car of Christian Muniz is really piling the pressure on Clay Morris there. Keep an eye out for Morris. He's got the championship to think about. He's not too far behind Fazui, so this will be an interesting fight indeed. If Morris can clear Nikardenbev and Dunkovic, he'll be on the outside into Junsao, though. Not the ideal place to be.
Did you see the closing speed there from Christian Muniz? You see a little bit of a wiggle there from Morris, the number 48, getting a little bit bottomed out there on the curve. It looks like one of the Lima racing cars. I believe that's Racine Fazui as well. Got a feeling we're going to see a 4-5-way fight heading down in towards turn one.
Alex Ellis leads by 8/10 at the end of lap one, but these guys are not worried about that. Oh, the closing speeds into turn one are incredible, and Asad Nikardenbev managing to hold the outside through the first turn, and he'll stay ahead of Christian Muniz and Clay Morris. Morris has been dispatched by Muniz, and now Racine Fazui is alongside our championship top two, sharing the same piece of racetrack, and Morris goes defensive versus Fazui. Oh, looks like a bit of a slide, bit of a check up there for Dunkovic and Muniz behind Nikardenbev. They will all compress coming into the middle sector. One slight bit of contact into Ferradura, and we can see things go massively awry as we saw at the end of race one. Nikardenbev wide, and that's going to be Dunkovic taking point.
I could have sworn I just saw Dunkovic giving Nikardenbev a little bit of a bump drop then. I'm pretty sure he was. He put it this way, you couldn't have put a foot in that gap, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, it's managed to work out in his favour now. He's currently there in P4, he's up one position, and indeed, he's got the absolute, I feel sorry for him, he's got an onslaught of incredibly talented drivers right behind, as you see. Clay Morris now going into it with Racine Fazui. It's the 48 versus the 58, battling for P7.
Oh dear, that's Dunkovic wide coming out of Junsao. Then that's going to be Asad Nikardenbev with the run there. See dipping out of the slipstream briefly, Racine Fazui to try and get the run into turn one, but side by side here for fourth place. Christian Muniz is going to squeeze up the inside here, three wide into turn one. Are we about to see our other move of the race? Maybe not quite there, with Asad Nikardenbev leading out of the first turn. Muniz not able to make the pass in the end on Dunkovic. This is such a fantastic fight. Everyone from 4th to 10th involved.
Well, you can see there Nikardenbev in the 230, looks to try and defend the inside line. That's another bump draft there from Christian Muniz in the 295 right behind. But I've got to say, Nikardenbev, he's definitely working. He gets a little bit of the slide there. And I'm watching his facial expression, and it's just completely monotone. He is not phased in the slightest. Power to him. I would be sweating pints at this point.
Looks like he's just having a Sunday drive at the moment, isn't he? But I suppose that's what goes on behind the helmets of a lot of racing drivers in the real world. And Asad Nikardenbev is certainly no stranger to close racing. See, every few moments he's checking in his mirrors. He needs to make sure that he can send it up the inside, but I think he's overcooked it there. Runs wide into Dunkovic, and Racine Fazui takes a couple of freebies there.
Well, we got a facial expression out of him on that one, and indeed I think it may have been along the line of oops, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly he has found the limit of grip in that radical, and it looks like Clay Morris now is going to try and capitalize on that as he goes to make a move up on the inside. He's got Muniz for a toe right ahead. Nikardenbev pretty much hung out to dry at this point. Dunkovic trying to catch up on the toe behind. Indeed, Nikardenbev under an incredible amount of pressure. Ryan Otto, though, able to slingshot his way past. Currently up an incredible 10 positions so far.
Yes, very good stuff from Ryan Otto. It's been a great recovery from him, but oi, oi, oi. They just avoid coming together there, do Clay Morris and Christian Moniz. And now Nakata Bev sees the opportunity to make up a couple more places. Well, this is going to be a lot more difficult to achieve than you think, especially in a field like this. It's so competitive. Every driver's just slinging their way through. Speaking of slinging, Dunkovic carrying a little bit too much speed into turn 4 there.
Yeah, he's been flirting with the limitations of just how close he can get to some of these cars. Indeed, I think on that occasion it came back and bit him in the rear wing, ladies and gentlemen. But right now as well, I'm taking a look through the standings. Sergio Hyen, actually another hard charger as well. Don't get me wrong, on aggregate he wouldn't quite get it, but he's still nonetheless up an incredible 10 positions so far, currently resting in P16.
Very good stuff. Well, let's see what more we can find from this action here. The race is effectively still in its early stages here, Zippy. The pit stop will be coming up soon enough, but how long do they actually want to stay out of the pits here? I think that the traffic situation is going to be interesting. Interlagos is not a short circuit by any stretch, but it can have a very cramped layout in places. So you pit at the wrong time, you come out in traffic, cars that are slower than you in general, you're going to have a tough time.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly one thing I am keeping an eye on is the position of Razim Fazui, as indeed Alex Ellis was holding the fastest lap until the 58s decided, no thank you, I'll take that away. And indeed, we got to wonder, is he going to be able to catch up? Certainly he's about 2.6 seconds back here from Rich Hibbs. He's got some work to do, but Hibbs, his defensive game is pretty good, pretty on point, and indeed, while he may not have the same level of pace, he's certainly not going to make it easy for the driver of the 58.
Here's the 23 of JF Larocque, unfortunately running wide at turn 4 and has allowed Jacob Batar through. Now John Benberlid and Cara Dudgeon will see an opportunity to move by. I can always count on Benberlid to fling it into the corner to try and get a bit more track position. Let's see what Larocque can do here. Monitor very close to the wheel, and he'll have a nice view with that ultra wide. Looks like there might be a little bit of a curve to it as well, but hasn't got any side-to-side view here. He'll have to put some trust in John Benberlid not to push the issue too much.
Yeah, that's actually one of the drivers who I would trust to be alongside. Certainly, John Benberlid had the pleasure of racing him as well. I say racing him, that was a good couple of seasons ago. Now he's way quicker than me, and indeed he's got Cara Dudgeon behind him as well. Actually, Cara Dudgeon now looking to make a move on the outside of Benberlid. They are neck and neck as they're bringing it down. The start-finish straight. That's going to be Benberlid's going to be on the inside. Is Dudgeon going to swing it out wide? Is she going to try and pinch Benberlid to the inside? Looks like the outside is going to be the chosen line. Benberlid has to tuck in behind as they make their way down through turn 1.
Yeah, late apex at turn 1. You've got to really delay your turn in because getting the straight exit out and the wide line into turn 2 is much more important. That does leave you open to moves on the inside though, so you have to keep your head on a swivel and your eyes on stalks. Well, we'll keep our eyes peeled on the various battles going on throughout the field. Ellis is out in front by nearly 3 seconds now, but Jesse Lambert and Richard Hibbs are getting a nice fight on for P2 at the moment, as it seems this battle's calmed down, though there is a bit of smoke that I've just spied there. Not entirely sure what's going on there.
Yeah, I believe it may have been Steven Sutherland looking at my timing screen as well, but certainly Richard Hibbs now, he's got the pressure of Razim Fazui right behind him. Indeed, Jesse Lambert currently up there in P2 as well. He's about 4/10 of a second clear of Hibbs, but the auto-eclectic motorsports driver, Steven Sutherland, I have to wonder what exactly happened. It does look like there's a little bit of a scuff on that left side pod.
Yes, problems for the number 70. I'm sure we'll find out what happened to him in due course, but it's far from ideal. Making a mistake at Interlagos, as it seems that's what Sutherland has done there. No, actually, it's not a mistake. It is a run through Ferradura that is compromised midway through, and the Lima racing car of Razim Fazui makes contact with Sutherland. So, yeah, that's our championship leader getting involved with Stephen there.
Well, certainly that's going to make it interesting in the real-life paddock. Certainly, I'm sure these guys will handle it like gentlemen. But currently, Jesse Lambert, he's currently there in the number 60 car. And honestly, he just wants to do everything he can to say that he's currently 8 positions clear of Jacob Batar. This could be an incredible haul of points for him, should he be able to continue that position till the end of the race.
Racine Fazoui's managed to catch up to the battle between Lambert and Hibbs, and Ryan Otto is joining him once again. Otto very far up the field this round. It's been a good round for Ryan Otto. Hopefully he'll be able to make it into a good position by the end, but Racine Fazoui already making contact with one car through the twisties, almost getting Richard Hibbs as well. Racine obviously quite a bit faster, but he needs to be careful about where he makes the move. The best opportunity will be in turn 1, but he's getting a much better exit out of Jun Sao, and he'll be by Hibbs by the time they get to Sabina dos Boxes.
Yeah, I think Hibbs honestly weighed at risk versus reward on that when you see Racine Fazoui pretty much under the rear wing of that Radical going through that corner, and indeed I think Hibbs has gone, you know what, he's a little bit quicker than me, as we've got a move happening for Satellite Racing in the background as well. I'm trying to work out who that is exactly, but indeed I think it's Christian Muniz actually making a move on Clay Morris.
Muniz up 3 positions thus far in the race. Meanwhile, Jared Dunkovic is the first driver to come in for a scheduled pit stop. At least that's my summation of it. Hopefully that's not a damage pit stop, but we will see. I would expect that these guys up the front are going to be staying out as long as they can here. They don't want to come out in traffic in the early stages of the race and cost themselves time. So just make the fuel tank last as long as you can and save fuel where you can. If the move isn't on, just lift and coast into the braking zone, and you should be able to extend your stint by a lap if you play your cards right.
Well, certainly we've got an on board here with Ryan Otto. Indeed, it's going to be Jesse Lambert versus Racine Fazoui. Now, these two guys are pretty friendly, and I have a feeling that that was definitely a little bit of a gimme, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe some team orders going on there, as Fazoui has now been unleashed and has got about 3.7 seconds to try and catch up to the race leader of Alex Ellis. But despite that, even with the traffic there that Fazoui's been encountering, he's about 4/5 tenths of a second quicker than the Satellite Racing car of Alex Ellis.
Yep, currently holds the fastest lap on a 128.2. That's playing a 128.69 from Ellis. So Fazoui definitely has the pace to make up that lead. The question is, are all these drivers behind him going to have a go at it? Ryan Otto moving up the inside of Jesse Lambert into turn 1. That is a nice overtake there from Ryan Otto. Hopefully that'll help him stay in touch with Fazoui here.
Yeah, certainly I think Ryan Otto feels he's got something to prove, and indeed he does have the pace to certainly give Fazoui a run for his money. This could be good for Jesse Lambert. It might help him pull away from the 115 of Richard Hibbs. Indeed, Christian Muniz starting to make an approach as well, and he's bringing Clay Morris aside and Carnabev with him as well.
Yep, nice battle. Stretching all the way from 2nd down to 8th, and it looks like things have spaced out a little bit in this fight, but we'll see where exactly Racine Fazoui is making up his time here. It's this slower, more technical section of the circuit that really sets the fast drivers apart from those who are maybe a couple of tenths of a second slower. Right there, through the run into Bico de Pato, Fazoui made up about half a car length alone. It looks like the on-throttle application is where Fazoui has his real strength here.
Well, one thing I am noticing in my timing screen as always is there is an absolute abundance of off-trackers appearing. I'm starting to wonder if a few of these drivers are potentially almost spending a few of those incident points in the pursuit of outright pace.
Yes, need to keep an eye out for that, because I believe there is an incident limit, and at Interlagos it is quite easy to get off tracks in places, particularly the exit of turn 4. We'll be seeing these drivers come to that very shortly, as Assad Nikardenbev is the first of our front runners to come into the pits. That's a pretty early stop there from Assad. It'll be interesting to see what he can do from there, but just keep an eye on the exit of turn 4 here when they come up to it. As I said, it's downhill, it narrows up on the exit, but the curb itself on the exit there, very thin. You put all 4 of your tires beyond that striped curb and you will get an off track, but the natural line makes you want to go beyond it. You've got to be so careful there, and it's easy to pick up off tracks in this section here as well. Outside the curbs, once again, that's going to be an off track. You can put your whole car across the curb there. Everywhere else, basically, if you're in the grass, you're going to be getting an off track.
Yeah, definitely the track limits a little strict here at Interlagos. See a little bit of a correction there from the driver of the 153 car. Absolutely frantically trying to keep up to Racine Fazoui. Indeed, the gap now starting to fall. That last lap, he's about 4 tenths of a second quicker than the race leader.
Yeah, looking like Racine Fazui will be steadily making up that time here. It's going to be 11 laps to go when they cross the line. And, well, Ryan Otto is still just holding on in the slipstream of Fazui here. Fazui is definitely quicker in the slow sections of the lap, but Otto's been able to stay in touch with him through the slipstream. So let's see what he can do to hold on to that pace. Christian Muniz, meanwhile, in the background, making the move on Richard Hibbs, and that's going to be the change up into P5 there as Cara Dudgeon becomes the next car to come into lane.
Yeah, certainly a earlier pit strategy for a few of these drivers. Seen definitely a variety here, but right now Cedric O'Hyan actually is the hard charger in the field. He's up 14 positions so far. Second place would indeed be Ryan Otto, who is currently sitting here in third. He's up 12.
Yeah, it looks like more cars coming into the pits as well. Tyler Scarali, Declan Dionerin and Brady Clapham all in at the moment. Asad Nakardambev, 1 lap in, has gotten an 8.8 second pit stop. That looks to be sort of mid-range, what we're expecting from drivers here. Jarrett Dunkovic with 6.9 seconds stopped in the box. That's the quickest stop of everyone so far. Looks like coming out of the pits, that's going to be the same running order. Dionerin ahead of Scarali and Clapham for 19th place, but they've come out with Keenan Blades, who has yet to come into the pit lane himself.
Yeah, certainly definitely a little bit of a shuffle happening through the pits, and indeed the well, I guess the high position driver who has pit would currently be in P13. That's Asad Nakardambev. We'll have to see how the field unfolds as more drivers make their way down pit road.
That's Lambert that's just gone into the pits there. This is going to be crucial in the battle for second place. Be interesting to see what happens in that pit stop. Again, we're looking at about an 8 to 9 second stop. Mostly. Could be as low as 7 seconds though. Let's see how quick Lambert's stop ultimately is. No tyre change here. The tyres can last. That is a solid stop there from Jesse Lambert. 8.5 seconds. Asad Nakardambev will be coming up on him here on pit exit. We'll have to wait and see where Asad Nakardambev actually is. Looks like he's a couple of seconds behind in the end. Actually 5 seconds or so. But Jesse Lambert doesn't have as much momentum down the back straight there as a result of making his way out of pit lane. Now he's got a heavier car and he needs to contend with that for the next couple of laps.
Yeah, certainly I'm starting to wonder exactly how the pit strategy is going to play out, but indeed looks like we've got a bit of a battle happening currently in P4, 5 and 6. Christian Muniz leading that battle. Clay Morris right behind him 5th, and indeed Richard Hibbs looking to try and fight back and find his way back into the podium positions.
Yeah, it's a good run from Richard Hibbs here today as well, joining Ryan Otto and having a nice time at Interlagos. This is a track where some drivers just gel with it, unlike other tracks, and we often see some drivers a bit higher up the field than we usually expect them, and Rich has certainly put in the effort here today. He's earned himself a position in the top 6 thus far. Could be better if there is mistakes for those ahead. For the moment, though, it looks like the battle's really between Muniz and Morris. Clay certainly has the pressure on him here. He wants to try and hold on to as narrow a gap as possible to Racine Fazui in the championship, so it's crucial that he tries to make the move on Muniz for 4th.
Yeah, certainly with that last round not being able to be a drop round, it could be a good opportunity for him, especially if Fazui gets called away for other matters. Certainly, both of those guys, I believe, have a similar role as well. I believe they are both engineers for different teams. Certainly, it would be going off memory, indeed. I know Racine Fazui is part of Lima Racing as well. He does indeed do some coaching for Cedric and indeed helps work on the car. They do some testing, they look at data and stuff like that. And I believe Clay Morris does the same kind of thing as well, but don't quote me on that. Indeed, we know he's pwned behind the wheel, and indeed he's a pretty intelligent individual, certainly much more than myself. But right now, certainly Racine Fazui getting the better of him. He's currently there in P2.
Yeah, looking good for Racine Fazui. The gap for the lead is now down to under 2 seconds, as there was some shuffling around in the sort of 16th, 17th place area as well. We'll see car number 8 eventually. John Benvalid and Cara Dudgeon battling over 14th and 15th as things stand. They've both come out of the pits just recently. Benvalid is on his out lap right now. Cara Dudgeon on the 3rd lap of this second stint. And they've got a lot of pressure ahead too. Matthew Crimmy ahead by a few seconds. Brady Clapham a few seconds behind. Some lap traffic that they are dealing with right now.
Yeah, and almost making contact there is John Benvalid. I have a feeling that might be Steve Sullivan. Certainly he's had a little bit of a rougher race today. And indeed, all 3 of these drivers, you can see actually, all 3 of them have got real-world racing experience. Certainly Cara Dudgeon had the opportunity after winning the Radical Academy. Indeed, looking to try and compete on an even tougher field. See Stephen Sullivan there getting the drive. Cara Dudgeon's going to be on the inside. But what can Benvalid do to fight back? Plenty of space being left. Very courteous racing indeed. But without a wonder, is Benvalid going to try and find his way past the young rising prodigy that is Cara Dudgeon?
Cara's always had great pace in qualifying, and it hasn't always worked out for her in the race, but she has made up some great positions here in race 2, as trying around the outside of turn 4, John Benvalid doesn't work. Cara Dudgeon defends the position nicely.
Yeah, I think in the background that was Avery Shivastava and Stephen Sutherland. The 819 having a little bit of a detour there. I'm not quite sure what happened, but certainly something definitely went on. Indeed, we'll have to take a little bit of a look back at that. But Cara Dudgeon definitely putting in a good fight, able to use that real-world experience against a real-world racing driver.
Yeah, BIS has the honour of being involved with plenty of real-world racing drivers. Alex Ellis and Racine Fazui are both in the pit lane. Meanwhile, that's our top 2 in. They're joined by Hibbs, by Zuccarelli, Bata. Christian Moniz is out of the pits by a single lap. Alex Ellis comes out behind Racine Fazui. His pit stop was about 1.3 seconds slower. That's all Racine needed to take the effective race lead.
Well, certainly you've got to wonder, is Ellis going to be close enough to stay in that draft? Indeed, that's going to be the only opportunity he'll have. But the good news is he does have his teammate right behind him in the form of Christian Moniz. Both of those drivers, 7.2, 7-second pit stops. Indeed, incredibly well balanced. Looking at Fazui, though, 6.8, just a little bit of a smidge quicker.
Yeah, and a full 2 seconds faster than Ellis through the entire pit lane cycle. So he nailed the entry and exit of the box there. Everything is going right for Racine Fazui at the moment, and you could say that's been the case for much of the season, really. This number 58, who is also a past champion of the series too, has been nigh on unstoppable in those point standings.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, we got some very potent drivers here in BIS, but I was trying to think of a few people who could indeed... I know somebody who, you know exactly who I'm thinking of, who could give this guy a run for his money, and certainly he's already had the pleasure of running a real-life Radical. Indeed, he did it and won the championship here. Radical Cup Canada, Spoiler Almeida, yet again, ladies and gentlemen, giving him a mention. But I can tell you that 520 car, Maxime Armand, has managed to pick up a black flag. I have a feeling that may be for incident points.
Yeah, potentially. Maxime, who got our move of the race in race 1, his second race has not gone as well, it has to be said. Last couple of pit stops have just been done there. Then we'll go to a replay of what happened to Maxime here. This might be what gave him the black flag here. Running deep and spinning around, that is a loss of control. 2 incident points being assigned to him by the automated system. And, well, he's probably just sitting there for a few moments, banging his wheel in frustration. Not an ideal situation there for Maxime Armand, but the drive-through is complete and he's going to come back out with no position change for him. So the pit cycle is complete now for everyone. Cara Dudgeon past Jean-Francois Larocque there, and looks like John Benvalid's going to try and follow her here. Lots of battling going on in this middle part of the field, but most of the field is now further apart than they were thanks to that pit cycle. Benvalid dispatches Larocque as well, and they will resume their fight, I'm sure.
Yeah, I gotta say, fair play to Cara. She's not been in the sim for that long. Let's be real. She's maybe been a season at most, season and a half, 2 seasons. You know, she's not been in the sim for long, but indeed, she's got it figured out way quicker than myself. And indeed, P12 in a strength of field such as BIS, that is a very good reason to put this person in the race car. Certainly, we've seen the likes of like Zach Buchanan, we've seen Ozzy Milwayne, we've seen multiple drivers, ladies and gentlemen, get the chance. Marshall Crocker Jr. get the chance to drive real world radical. And certainly this one, I would actually have loved to have seen the times in comparison to a season pro, but certainly doing it proud for women in motorsport. She's currently there in P12 and indeed striking a pursuit there towards Jared Dunkovich, who's currently about 4.7 seconds up the road in 11th.
Yeah, and looking fast as well. Dudgeon was half a second faster than Dunkovich on the last lap. Speaking of battles, I think we should move up to second place because Alex Ellis is under a lot of pressure from Ryan Otto here. Otto's had a fantastic outlap, and he is right on the back of Ellis here. Ellis, it seems, struggling a bit for pace as he runs wide through the downhill hairpin. He'll be defensive into Bico de Pato. But is there going to be enough for him to get out of the corner ahead? There is, but only just. Ryan Otto sees the chance to grab the runner-up position here. He's up 12 positions already from where he started, Ryan Otto. His supreme pace at Interlagos continues to be shown.
Yeah, certainly saw Ellis there having to make a little bit of a correction on corner exit, but right now we've got another two drivers who've picked up a black flag, ladies and gentlemen. It's the 77 of Brady Clapham and indeed the 819 of Avery Shivastava, and indeed Steven Sutherland picking up a meatball flag as well. I believe something may have happened with him, a collision potentially with Brady Clapham as well. We'll have to wonder, as right now you can see there Ryan Otto still making a good try here as they make their way at this battle for second.
Yeah, did you notice, though, that he lifted out a bit earlier into turn one? I think he's biding his time with Alex Ellis here. He's looking for a clearer opportunity. Ellis isn't going to give it to him this time. Defensive into turn four. Let's see what Otto does here. Again, a bit earlier on the brakes. He doesn't want to get side by side with Ellis yet. Fazui, surprise, surprise, is streaking off into the distance. So it's down to these two. He wants to make the move in the right spot. Is the outside of Ferradura the right spot? Probably not, but Ellis is going to give him a run for his money in any case. He'll stay ahead coming into the hairpins. This is a great fight.
Absolutely fantastic fight. I am keeping an eye on the off track, so both of those drivers making a off track there at turn four. I have a feeling I'm going to see a few more black flags rolling out if these guys don't start adhering to the track limits.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned earlier, Interlagos, very easy to get track limits violations here, especially into Junsao there. Used to be that sort of concrete grasscrete patch on the way into that final left-hander, you could put your car all the way across it and widen the line, but the track limits were tightened up there a few builds ago, so you're not seeing drivers do that as much now. Here comes the slipstream again here for Ryan Otto, around the outside of Alex Ellis. Well, he's likely going to get it done before they get to the apex, or is he? Ellis tries to force the issue here side by side, but the move is done for Ryan Otto. I mean, what an incredible turn of pace Ryan Otto has had here. I haven't seen him up this high in a long time.
Yeah, he's definitely a potent driver. Consistency maybe not his strong point. Is Alex Ellis there looking to fight back? Is he going to try and make a move here on the outside? But you have to wonder as well, strategy coming into play as both of them, no, just Ellis on that occasion makes an off track again, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely keep an eye on the incident points. Indeed, I have a feeling Ellis may be flirting with he's going to need to flirt with the marshals at this point. But certainly, I have a feeling that the strategy here would actually be to sit behind it, as saying that's contact.
Oh!
And Ellis spins around.
Oh dear, and Ellis is likely going to lose third here as well, because here comes Clay Morris round the outside. That is opportunistic as hell there for Clay Morris, and he's managed to get it done there into Bico de Pato. He was in exactly the right place at exactly the right time, but I'm sure Ellis isn't going to let him get away with that.
Yeah, certainly that is just means new contender, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, Ellis and Clay Morris have had many a battle here at BIS and indeed on Pit Road Productions. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing a few more. Cara Dodgen and John Beblin, they're back at it again in P12, and indeed Ovidio Milos and Jonathan McKayson actually buying it out in P22 as well. Avery Shibasava still to serve a black flag, but right now Alex Ellis is going to be alongside. He's going to be on the outside for turn one. Can Morris defend as they make their way down the start finish straight?
Yeah, it looks like he'll be first to the apex there, but Ellis is still alongside through turn two. The outside exit from turn two becomes the inside for turn three, and Clay Morris ultimately gets the position, but Ellis picks up the slipstream. This is far from over. Ellis trying desperately to hold on to a podium spot here. He's had a great run of results recently. He gets back by Morris through turn four, but then the over-under comes, and Morris had to tap the brakes there to prevent himself from running into the back of Ellis.
Yeah, and certainly the whole time this is going on as well, the other satellite racing car, Christian Muniz, is starting to close in. I do have to wonder if Ellis is almost playing this strategically. Is he going to try and help his teammate make another move up here through the standings? Is Clay Morris pretty much a sitting duck at this point? Whatever it is, they're going to have to sort it out quickly. We just, well, barely a lap and a half to go.
Indeed. High track temperature means that if you have a slide and a spin, your tyres will be cooked, and I think that's what Ellis is struggling with at the moment. The tyres just aren't coming back down to the temperature he needs to maximise them. Well, that's going to help him out. Morris wide through Junsao and clattering across the curb on the exit, but it won't be too long before the slipstream is picked up again. White flag is out. Racine Fazui in front by 3.6 seconds, but this is where the fight is. This third place battle between Ellis and Morris.
Yeah, it certainly looks like Ellis doing a little bit of advertising there for Daniel Morad there, real-world AMG GT3 driver as well, who's yet to make an appearance here at BIS. I'll call him out for that. By all means, get on over here. We'd love to see how you do in this league. Certainly would be an interesting battle indeed. But right now, Clay Morris certainly showing his work indeed, as right now he's going to contend yet again with number 50 of Alex Ellis, fighting for the final spot on the podium.
There's some good defense going on from Ellis here, but he's struggling to keep all four wheels under him. That was a big wiggle there out of turn 4, barely in control, but just managing to stay ahead of Morris. This is going to be interesting, this section. If they run side by side for too long, then Christian Muniz might get them both. Muniz pushing as hard as he dares here. He ran about 5 to 7 tenths faster than both of these guys on the previous lap. It could indeed be on here. Ellis defensive on Morris into the left hand, to the right hand hairpin, my apologies. And that is going to be position defended into Junsao once more. We'll have to cut away from this ever so briefly to give our winner his dues. It's once again a sheer domination class from Racine Fazui. Pole for race 1, win in race 1, and the win in race 2. A fantastic drive from our championship leader, but it's side by side between Morris and Ellis, and it looks like Morris is just going to get him here before the line. Oh, barely a half a car length in it.
Yeah, 3/100ths of a second, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely incredible battle indeed. Trying to pick and move the race. Certainly anybody in chat's got a suggestion, by all means let us know. I'm pretty much spoiled for choice at this point. I'm actually probably going to abstain from my vote. Certainly Reese, if you got something in mind, I'm all for it. But certainly Clay Morris, I'd say he's pretty up there. Maybe Ryan Otto as well.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough to choose. I reckon, I remember Otto's pass on Alex Ellis the most, but I reckon that we could see Clay Morris get it, depending on how that looks. Yeah, it's really up in the air, but I think we might have to give it to Otto. Up 13 positions in that race, and some incredible moves made.
Yeah, certainly one incredible move is good, but making 13 spots up, I'm going to say that definitely reserves a little bit more of a reward indeed. Certainly, if you want to sponsor this series, ladies and gentlemen, we'd love to hear from you indeed for future BIS series as well. We could make it the, say your company is Reese Gardner Industries, the Reese Gardner Industries move of the race. We'd love to hear from you. Just subtle hint, everybody.
Indeed. Some fantastic partners and supporters already here at BIS. We got Toyo Tires on board for the F1600 Championship, and also Dakin Designs is associated here with Radical Cup Canada. Dakin Designs responsible for the class banners and placards on the cars here, as well as some fantastic livery and helmet design choices, and also designing the Lima Racing livery too, which is fantastic to see. Well, we'll keep our eyes peeled then. Whether we have the results or the move of the race first remains to be seen. Christian Hill cooking something up in the background, and it's the results. Racine Fazui, 3.7 seconds ahead of Ryan Otto, who, again, I think is probably the star performer here today. Clay Morris on the podium, but only by 0.03 of a second over Alex Ellis. That was a great fight to the end. Christian Muniz rounding out the top 5. Jesse Lambert, Richard Hibbs getting 6th and 7th. Some fantastic results for them. Lambert winning the AM class. Asadna Kardenbev finishing in 8th in the end, ahead of Diego Zuccarelli. They battled to the line as well. And Jacob Batar, 2nd place in the AM class. That is certainly much better for him, and at least better than Sebastian Day, who once again did not have a good run of things today.
Certainly, I've got to be a person to agree with that is Jared Dunkovic. He raced incredibly hard today. He took P11 with Carl Judgen in 12th, battling with John Bemberlin for a good portion of that race. He took 13th. Jeff Larocque in 14th with Declan Dioner in 15th. Maya Dioner missing this week, actually, as well. Tyler Scrally was there in 16th with Lima Racing leader Cedric O'Hine in 17th. Right ahead even of, they call him Bubba, it's Mr. Mark Boyd in 18th, leader of Auto Eclectic Motorsports. They're actually looking for a technician as well, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, if you're mechanically inclined, reach out to Mark Boyd. It's on their Instagram, it's on their Facebook. Help him out. He needs good staff and indeed work on race cars. It's cool. In 19th, it's Matthew Crimmy there with the 113, with Keenan Blades rounding out your top 20.
In 21st place, it was Robert Covey, last car to finish on the lead lap, but we saw him get some great airtime in this race too. Jonathan Piquet, Ovidiu Milos, Chad Payton, Maxime Amand, and Rick Boyd all classed a lap down there. Brady Clapham and Abhi Shrivastava, as well as Matthew Mailman, spending a lot of time in the pits there, and Stephen Sutherland with his own dramas, 5 laps from the end. And unfortunately, Paul Casamajor and Michael Broomhead were out quite early. Sebastian Day, after his disaster in race 1, did not take to the start for race 2. That could put the AM class championship in jeopardy, but all things considered, may end up being his drop round. So we'll see what the points are looking like coming into the final round in 2 weeks' time. I guess it's time for our move of the race now, Zippy, and well, we do have to give it to Ryan Otto. He had great pace today, and this move on Alex Ellis just confirming that when everything goes right, when the sun shines on you, you have a great day.
Certainly, he was indeed potent throughout a good portion of this race, able to make himself up there, 13 positions as well. And I feel he worked Ellis at this point. You know, it was a little bit of mental gymnastics going on as well. It was a little bit of a slow burn, but indeed he got the job done and indeed was able to find his way up into P2. Ellis having to settle for 4th on this occasion.
Yeah, the actual move coming very shortly here with Ellis making some big defenses on Ryan Otto, but the car placement from the 153 was perfect here. He was compromising his entries, yes, but he gained on the exit just about every time. This entire lap, he'd been setting up for that move into turn 1, and all he needed to do was pick up the slipstream from there. But it wasn't entirely plain sailing for Ryan Otto. He was stuck on the outside for turn 1. It can be done though, as you're about to see. The slipstream kicks in down the front stretch, and I mean, it's already powerful enough in these radicals, but just the right amount of momentum at exactly the right time. Otto was ahead across the line, and then hard on the brakes into turn 1. Ellis tried his best to keep him honest there, but Otto was able to carry more speed through the corner, and that was the move done. Some fantastic stuff there from Ryan Otto. Time then for our interviews, and we've got a few drivers to talk to here, Zippy, first of which is going to be Rasim Fazui. Welcome, Rasim. Zippy said in our production chat, the guy just wins and wins, and that's going to be the story for you here at Interlagos. Pole and win in both races. Pretty much a perfect round.
Yes, sir. How's it going, guys? I needed that one. I really needed that one. Because I hate Motorsport with a passion. I think half of the laps I did at Motorsport I locked up in turn 5. So now I got a good buffer to show up to Motorsport and just finish in the points. I have to do the math, but like I'm pretty good heading up to Motorsport. So I mean, Interlagos is a track that I love. I did a lot of events there. I did a lot of fixed, but also shout out to a series that doesn't exist anymore, but that had the top of the top, Sports Car Open, when you used to run the GTE. So it's a track that I know very well. I did not expect the pace to be that fast, to be honest, because I was doing a little bit of mistakes in the practice because the conditions were so cold all week when we were testing, or even yesterday during the open test. Conditions were much hotter, but nevertheless, brought it home, and looking forward to Motorsport.
Indeed. With your early remarks about Motorsport, though, I think you might have turned a few heads. The home track of BIS, of course, being the final round of the championship. But overall, this season has been a really good one for you. You've missed a couple of races, but your pace has remained consistent. It's very rare that it seems other drivers can actually challenge you. I suppose in that respect, you'll at least get some good racing at Motorsport if you don't like it that much.
Yeah, I mean, you can only get good racing if like a fish can only swim right in the right water, right? So if I don't like the water that I'm swimming in, I'm not gonna swim correctly. I might pop my head out the water every now and then and end up on the grass. So no, now I can relax like last year. Just have to make the difference in points. Um, and yeah, whoever wants to argue with me about Motorsport, it's a legendary track, but not my favorite. I have my reason. I respect it. But no, I think listen, controversial opinion. I think Cal Bogey is a better track to drive at than Motorsport. That's just me.
Damn. All right. Well, we'll certainly take that into consideration, Rasim. Thank you very much for joining us. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
The boys at Lima, as always. The Vincent Racing for hooking me up. Second event in a row. But this time I got the base. I was in and out of getting a base. Now I got the base. So swap SimiCube bases. Shout out to Advanced. Shout out to VPX. The boys at VPX were doing the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. If I didn't say it already, catch us at Sebring. I think it's on March 17th, 18th, 19th. I want to thank my family, my parents, my brother, my girlfriend, my dog. Good order, Rasim. And then I want to thank also you guys.
Coming.
I want to thank you guys. I want to thank APL Motorsports, Pit Road Productions, BIS. Shout out to Mike and shout out to everybody in the series for this intense racing. This will be in the archives for sure.
Indeed, and big shout out to you, Rasim Fazui, for joining us in the commentary box. That is your winner of the event and extending his championship lead coming into the final round. Over to you, Zippy. I understand you've managed to catch up with Ryan Otto, who had a fantastic round tonight.
Yeah, I gotta say, Ryan, certainly you've always had good pace, but race consistency, sometimes it's been a bit of a rough day for you. Today, though, was not the case. Absolutely incredible move. Certainly, we actually named you as move of the race for the second part of the show. Tell us a little bit about how you feel of Interlagos. Obviously, probably on your Princess Approved track list at this point.
Yeah, so I really like Interlagos. It's a really fun track. It is very good for racing, and it suits this radical a lot because there isn't a lot of corners where you experience a lot of dirty air, so you're allowed to stay close. And well, actually, no, there are a few, but it's enough to the point of where you aren't falling behind or getting really close to another driver. So I'd say this track provides incredible racing, and yeah, I had my head in the right game for this race, and it certainly showed.
Well, definitely the hard work has indeed paid off. But talking of the hard work, tell us what you do to prepare for a race here in the RCC with BIS.
Oh, that's funny. This is actually one of the races I put in a little less practice, but yeah, normally it's just run laps for the first like hour, and then after that, I'll normally think about my lines, think about different ways, and go back out on track and constantly experiment. Like every single lap will be different, and even though I'll be running down like maybe a second or two off pace, I'll be experimenting, and I'll do that for the next like hour and a half, and then the last 30 minutes will just be pace running for getting that consistency down.
Well, certainly you can see here that hard work does indeed pay off, and indeed incredible racecraft from yourself today, Ryan. Is there anybody you'd like to shout out to celebrate today's performance?
I would actually like to shout out to Jarrett, my teammate, for participating in this and helping me through some of these races, even though they might be a little bit difficult at times. And then I'd also like to shout out with Rasim for trusting me to work with him, because we ended up just carving through the field and yeah, getting up to P2 and then, or P3 and then eventually P2.
Well, definitely, it has indeed paid off. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together, raise your glass for the driver of the 153. It's Ryan Otto.
Thank you.
Lovely stuff. today from Ryan Otto. Interlagos gelled with him very well indeed. I wonder who we should have a chat to next, Zippy. We've got a few drivers up there. Clay Morris is apparently showing everyone some portions of his race, the P3 finisher. So maybe we should get Jesse Lambert in here, winner of the AM class in, I believe, both races 1 and 2. A successful night for you, Jesse.
Yes, sir. Indeed, it was.
Yeah. So coming into this as it's sort of an unknown. It's the first time that we've raced at this track in Radical Cup Canada, but obviously you were putting in a lot of effort to understand it and get better. Is it a track that you've had experience with before?
It's definitely a track that I've ran a lot on iRacing. Never in the Radicals, so it was new for me, and I found it pretty exciting. It's very, very different from the other tracks that we ran. I found myself when working with Racine braking a lot less harder because there's a lot less straight line braking. So rather than braking 80, 90%, you maybe apply like 50% brake pressure. So it was definitely a challenge.
Yeah, that is quite an interesting aspect of driving in the sim here that I don't think gets talked about enough. You know, how you brake is incredibly important at a track like this, but it's not just braking, it's out racing everyone around you. Managing to get a top 10 finish in both races tonight as an AM class driver, that is quite the achievement. So you must be happy with the points haul.
Very, very happy. Thank you guys a lot for noticing that. I was really nervous coming into the race. I'm sitting third in the amateur championship. So to win, I believe it was a win in both races in the amateur class, helps my championship a lot, especially considering that winning this championship would mean a lot to me because my goal is to raise enough money to race in Fell Motorsports Radical Cup Canada this upcoming season. And any help regarding test days and prizes like that can definitely go a long way.
Absolutely. Well, we're wishing you all the best for the final round in 2 weeks' time, Jesse. We'll see what you can do at Motorsport, but fantastic drive today. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Jesse Lambert there, winner of the AM class in both races today. And finally, Zippy, I understand you've had a chance to catch up with our third place finisher, Clay Morris.
Well, certainly, Clay. Definitely no stranger to seeing you here in the Pit Road Productions booth. But I've got to say, it's a pretty solid result for yourselves today. Don't get me wrong, the sprint race not quite as high as you'd like to be, but indeed a third place and indeed a fantastic battle with Alex Ellis. Certainly, you two guys have indeed sparred before, and indeed you were going to spar again. Sterling, how did you feel taking on the driver of the number 50, especially with his teammate behind him, Christian Muniz?
Yeah, it was a little bit sudden. There was a small incident with who was it, Ryan Otto and Alex Ellis, I think with 3 to go or something like this. So I was on his back end pretty suddenly, pretty late. And I think he had a little bit of panic in the last couple of laps. He was sliding the car a lot, so I was able to take advantage of that and get it by just a couple hundredths, looks like 300ths of a second at the line.
Yeah, definitely an incredible move indeed. But certainly around Interlagos, having such a long start finish straight as well, was there definitely a plan from the start that you wanted to try and make it happen in the final moments of this race?
Yeah, I had a strategy for last lap battles if I was close to somebody. And how it played out with Ellis, it ended how I wanted it to, but I didn't quite get the chance. I kind of capitalized on his mistakes more than my plan, but it was definitely the plan to exit the last corner close and behind them if I could, and use that draft down the straightaway, but got lucky with it right at the end, and I'm glad it happened.
Well, certainly you made for some absolutely fantastic racing, but we are indeed heading to Motorsport for the final round, and that's certainly going to be one of your home tracks as well. Ellis, there maybe a little bit of a disadvantage. Do you think you're going to be able to apply even more pressure to the driver of the number 50 and indeed to the rest of the field, ladies and gentlemen, as you take on the final round here?
Honestly, I don't know exactly where Ellis is from, but I think it's his home track just as much as mine. So I'm looking forward to the good racing. It's where the most people in this field are very comfortable. So usually there's a good 5-6 car pack at the front, and hoping it goes my way. I think at this point Racine's out of reach, but I can still work to consolidate second place and have a good race next round.
Well, certainly, Clay, we are indeed going to wish you the best luck. And certainly a quick random question for you. Would we be seeing you at the Victoria Day Speed Fest coming up at Motorsport in around 17th of May? Are you going to be present?
Yes, I will be there working in the Radical Cup Canada paddock.
Well, certainly, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to meet the one and only Mr. Clay Morris, you now know where to find him. And indeed, I plan on being there as well. But Clay, before we let you go, is there anybody else you'd like to share out for today's performance?
Yeah, like always, I'd like to give a shout out to Robert at Radical Canada and Wera. They covered my entry to let me do this series, and it's why I'm running the Wera livery. So very happy with that. And also, like always, thank you to you, Zippy, Reese, and Mr. Broomhead for putting on this series. It's always good racing.
Well, certainly, I'm going to give a little bit of a plug there for Christian Hill as well. Certainly, not quite as well known lurking in the background, but indeed a huge amount of work goes into making a show. And indeed, we couldn't do it as just one person. There is several people involved. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the driver of the number 48 representing Radical Canada and indeed Wera Tools, it's Clay Morris.
Thank you, Zippy.
Well, that's going to round things off, I think, for the show, Zippy. Honestly, some great performances today, some exciting racing. I'm just hyped for the final round at this point. We've only got 2 more weeks to go until we are at Motorsport to end off this season.
Yeah, certainly it's going to be an absolute belter. And I do find as well, Motorsport, it does have a little bit of an advantage there for anybody who's more of a defensive driver. Myself, don't always have it on pace, but I can remember at Motorsport, you can defend quite well there. Certainly the draft's going to come into play as well. So we could see a little bit of a shake-up in the standings as well. Certainly maybe see a little bit more gaps appearing. Indeed, it depends on just how far those elbows go out. But ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure here today at Interlagos for the Radical Cup Canada Winter Series with BIS and indeed FEL Motorsports. But ladies and gentlemen, my name is Daniel Zippy Salmon, and joining me in the production booth today, the one and only Mr. Reese Gardner, Southpaw Racer. Check him out on YouTube as well for some very interesting track guides, and Christian Hill at the production controls as well. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We hit 1,000 subs. Fantastic. Let's hit 1.5 next. No pressure. Indeed, make sure you subscribe to FEL as well. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the conclusion of the Radical Cup Canada Winter Series with FEL Motorsports.